You are watching World Insight with me, still to come on our program. And 4 Nobel laureates make sense of world economic shifts. They remind us what globalization is all about right after this break. Welcome back. You're still watching World Insight with me, Tian Wei. The program is coming to you Monday to Friday on CGTN. It's not what you look at that matters. It is what you see. That is a quote coming from philosopher Henry David Thoreau. It's a reminder to look deeper beneath the surface of the many debates going on in the world today. Picking the brains of some of the world's most brilliant minds might help. That's why we are looking back at our conversations with 4 Nobel laureates in economics. Some of their insights on what's going on in the world more than a year ago are more than relevant today. Where is the U.S. headed, and how will the world and the international systems cope with that? Take a look. And I'm very honored to have 4 Nobel Prize in economics sitting here with me, certainly lightening up our studio. Professor Joseph Stiglitz, Nobel laureate for the year 2001.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Professor Michael Spence, laureate of Nobel Prize in economics, also for the year 2001. The both of you share it. Great to have you.
Nice to be here.
Professor Christopher Pissarides, he taught me how to pronounce his name, for the year 2010, the latest among you all. And last but certainly not least, Professor Edmund Phelps for the year 2006. Gentlemen, it's such a pleasure to have all of you here. You were joking with one another before our taping. I hope we're going to have a pleasant time now. What is going on with our international system? We see the United States, Professor Spence, seem to have the tendency of withdrawal from that system. What would that mean for all of us, particularly economies?
Well, so for the post-war period, we've had an architecture that has been, by and large, increasingly open and enormously beneficial. It's the core reason why the developing countries have been able to grow at these high rates. And to be honest with you, I don't think we're going to completely close that down. But the problem that has developed is that we're having trouble producing inclusive, satisfactory growth patterns in a number of countries. And while I don't think the right response is to sort of break that whole system down, we're certainly seeing cracks in it. So an honest answer would be we don't know exactly where we're going. There's a risk that we'll have a bout of destructive protectionism, I would imagine. And a better outcome would be a kind of modified version that preserves access to the global economy. Let me tell you what the real problem is.
What exactly is it?
The big players like China and the United States and Germany and the UK, etc., they can make peace with each other, negotiating agreements that are mutually beneficial. The real problem is there's a lot of countries like Botswana that aren't going to do very well negotiating with, you know, the giants. And so what China has said, the president has said clearly, is we, and hopefully others, are going to be a sponsor of a system that creates this access and umbrella for this wide range of developing countries.
China was originally saying, the president, the word himself, he said want to be a reformer and supporter of the existing system. But there has to be reform and support at the same time.
Yeah. Let me just re-emphasize what Mike said, which is we have created what is called a rules-based system. And what that means is Botswana is subjected to the same rules that China or Germany is. And
China and Germany cannot be equal to one another either.
Yeah, and in the law of the jungle, the guys who have more power get more for themselves, and that's totally destructive. It will create more discontents, and I think the global system will not work well. The good news, let me be an optimist for a moment. We created internationally a whole set of institutions like the World Bank, the IMF, the WTO, They're imperfect, but they are actually, given the diversity of countries, impressive. I've been a very big critic of some of the ways they've operated. They could not have been created without the support of the United States, but now that they're there, I think that they're strong enough to withstand a withdrawal from the United States. That's at least the optimistic note, and that the others will realize the importance of this rules-based system, and will fill in the gap with an even greater commitment to make it work and reform it.
And before we go, I do want to have one sentence from every one of you telling us exactly what is the logic of our world today. Where are we going? Professor Stiglitz, one sentence if you can, not a dissertation.
We are on the brink of a new world order.
As simple as that.
And the question is, where do we go from here? What kind of a world order is going to be?
And you, Professor Spence?
It's not dissimilar from what Joe said. I think we are now experiencing very powerful centrifugal forces within our societies and economies and globally, and we are at a kind of inflection point where we could get considerable chaos, or we could come together and sort of fight these centrifugal forces and put the system back together.
Certainly, we would love to choose the second one.
Yes.
Professor Pizarro?
Well, I'll take it up exactly from that point. That's exactly what's needed. And I have to say that my biggest concern is that I don't really trust the political leaders we have now in the major Western countries, that they would be able to carry that through to everyone's benefit. I wish they would delegate some of that to the expert institutions that we have built, because just think of who is in charge of our countries that could influence this idea. I don't think they have this broad vision to see where we're going. Even within the European Union, we don't have anyone of the founding fathers who had this vision of several years ahead, and how can we do the best for this continent. And when you put that against the United States with its current leadership, you get even more concerned.
A new wave of innovations has wiped out good jobs, created a lot of meaningless jobs. Throwing money at the problem will not create more jobs, and it will certainly not create good jobs. So that you can talk about international cooperation and rewriting the rules of the game forever, but that is the simple fact.
It is always wonderful to hear the wisdoms of the Nobel Prize winners in economics. All of you are straight talkers, and we really appreciate that. Thank you so much, professors, for being with us.